What is the word, ladies and gentlemen? Long time no see. So basically, I've been wage slaving. You know, the typical skullduggery, the typical painstaking, miserable, Geiger-esque Mad Max commute of the Floridian I-75 and I-275 that, frankly, for lack of a better terms, makes me want to Persona 3 myself. Well, the only catharsis I've found in this miserable life of mine is the sound of melodia. Music, the same thing that drives every working man and woman throughout this entire earth, and the same catharsis that everyone gets when they listen to music. You know, that one banger, that one bop that you overplayed a million freaking times, but for some reason it still rides and it hits every single replay. Or that one artist or one playlist that you wouldn't dare play with a partner or your friends in the car because they might question your sexuality. Music is the fuel for the working man or woman, the bridge between sanity and monotony. Endless and boundless access to auditory artistry that makes our neurons flare up harder than a flat man's big toe after eating a whole rack of ribs doused in Sweet Baby Ray's. Yes, music, the one cultural aspect that brings us all together. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is that modern music sucks.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
I'm sorry, I won't go full back in my day.
Excuse me, Fennell, and what am I doing?
I won't go there with you guys, but I will say that most music is, well, mid, as they say. So why is that? Well, the most obvious answer is oversaturation. Anyone has access to a phone or a laptop. You can go to fucking Kenya or Zimbabwe and it's in the middle of nowhere. You can go to fucking Galapagos Islands with fucking penguins and they'll have an iPhone 15 Max Pro Incel edition or some shit. And they have access to FL or any, you know, audio recording app at this point. And they can record a boundless amount of auditory OSHA violations through your eardrums that, you know, fucking rip your ears. That means the more saturation there is going to be, the more mid music that it's going to be released and that you're going to hear because, well, mathematics, you know, quantity over quality. To be fair, we need some quantitative easing right about now in the music industry. So that simply means that the more saturation there is, the more mid music is going to make it through that sieve or great filter. It's called a Poisson distribution. Wait, is it called the Poisson distribution? Am I using that right?
I think not.
Yeah, nah, I totally used that shit wrong. But basically, the more shit out, the more you're gonna hear the same coquette demure, pseudo nostalgia pop songs, the stupid ass 1 6 5 4 8 bitch chord progression, the same fake ass TikTok aesthetic that would make my LVP girlfriend from 2011 blush. You know, the same old rap and trap and hip hop songs about robbing niggas, killing niggas, drilling niggas, fucking niggas. And you know, we're all kind of guilty of letting this Amazon picker packer production line music keep coming out because we're all guilty of listening to trash music and, you know, mid songs, but it keeps us through the day, right? It keeps us going. What else are we gonna listen to? The same old song over and over again? Yeah, we all listen to our fair share of awfully ass music like Cardigans, that fucking Gestalt consciousness, god. So why do these mediocre artists still top the charts and still have immense population compared to the smaller hidden gems? Well, the answer is the topic of the video: industry plants. There has never been so many industry plants in any time in history, and it's because the music industry is obviously a multi-billion-dollar industry now compared to what it was back then. You got several, they roller coaster tycoon the satanic and ritual abuse and spiritual corruption through music. So now, you know, it's widespread now. Everyone has access to it. Everyone's listening to music. Billions of people are listening to the mainstream. They can listen to Kali Uchis in fucking Yakutsk, Siberia, Russia. How many times have you seen a musician or heard their music and said, yeah, they definitely got pushed? Because ain't no way. And more likely than not, they were. It's estimated that around 40% 90% of mainstream artists have been artificially boosted or planted in some way, shape, or fashion. And of course, you also have the Gen Z cobalt mind TikTok, you know, people doing stupid dance reels and music videos and other types of videos, obviously pushing these artists that would otherwise be door dashing and putting the fries in the bag in a different timeline. It's on the radar. You know what, I'm not gonna lie, I do listen to a lot of TikTok music, a lot of shit be fire, and it also researches a lot of old music, but it's also a vehicle to push a lot of the mid music that we hear over and over and over and played out on these stupid trends every day. But we all know who's actually pushing this music to us, right? You know that it's not the industry. It's not the industry. Who is it? I don't know. Look it up. I don't know. Look it up. I don't know. I'll crash out on y'all when I turn big enough like the Louis Vuitton Don himself, and I don't have to worry about money. So just follow the money. It's Illuminati. It's Illuminati. Yeah, it's Illuminati. Okay, don't worry about it. It's Illuminati. Industry plants have always been a thing though. Even before the Billie Eilishes, the Drakes, the Beatles, there are plenty of industry plants throughout history with a long entrenchant timeline full of nepotism, favoritism, established incentives, and luck. And not only are musicians technically the only planted people in any industry, technically any artists and politicians, they can also be planted by the powers that be in their respective positions. So let's turn back the wheels of time backwards to see who were truly industry plants before there was an industry to stardom and fame by the powers that be. Well, enough exposition. Rushaimo. Let's begin. Alright, off the rip, I'm just gonna peel the band-aid off and piss you guys off. We're just gonna start gaming, bro. Just stay gaming, bro. Don't chase no girls. Just stay gaming, pony boy. Stay gaming. Bronze List was 100%, no, 1,000% an industry plant pre-Interscope Records. All right, let's bypass the bull drive and just head straight into the argument, right? No doubt that Herr List was a virtuoso, arguably Prince before there was a twinkle in Prince's daddy's eye. Hungarian Rhapsody #2, Lebensraum, Bagatelle sans tonalité, Le Prélude, his Faust Symphony, all beautiful, magnificent pieces of art that evoke an urge to having a nice, sophisticated, extended, long, introspective gooning session too. The Harmonic Adventure was known for pushing the boundaries of romantic harmony with chromatism and unresolved dissonance, showcasing his works like Faust Symphony with whole tone scales beautifully heard in Le Jeu de à la Ville d'Est, innovating whole compositional structures by developing motifs across movements, dismantling of classical forms like in the B minor sonata, which condenses sonata, allegro, scherzo, and fugue into a 30-minute psychological drama that would give Severance a run for its money. He was so exceptional as a composer that his music became glazed. He was so glazed that he had a different level of fan frenzy surrounding him called Listomania, Liszt fever. This man had fangirls passing out off of aura and stage presence alone before Mike Jack was even a thing. Hundreds of years before Mike Jack even did it. I'm talking girls feigning, fucking gouging each other's eyes out for a strand of his like pubic hair, a lick of sweat off of his piano, all sorts of weird shit. This is before like MTV, musty ass Live Nation concerts selling you liquid death. You would think this dude was like Usher or Chris Brown or Tank or R. Kelly, you know, just whipping out, pissing on the crowd, pissing on all the. You would think this man was just some handsome singing nigga, but not really. He was just a average looking dude with a whole bunch of talent, which says a lot, you know what I'm saying? You know, hey fellas, just get your talent up. I mean, he could have been handsome for the time being, but honestly, look at him. I mean, he looks like he could be Andrew Jackson's bastard son. You can imagine women throwing their musty ass garter belts and pantaloons on stage over just a bomb ass symphony, dude. That would be so keynote. I tell you, man, these girls that train in classical music, like you going to university or college or something, they a little freak. Hey, you would be thinking these are city girls. We're like, but they, you know, they keep it down low. You probably smell like a fucking Listomania was something else. It was insane for the time period. It was like the first real fan craze, and he was practically enabling it too. He was whipping his hair back and forth. He was smashing his piano and profaning the instrument profusely, just with acrobatics. Yeah, he did all of this. This was new. Heinrich Heine, a German poet at the time, even described it as a contagious nervous fever, Beatlemania levels of illusion. And dudes were, of course, trying to bite his style. They were just trying to copy his swag, trying to copy his aura, but nah, it couldn't have been done. And also, I'm sorry if I'm sounding like a old head talking about Michael Jackson.
Bitches was falling off. They fell out off the visual.
Chris Brown don't do that.
It's a fact.
Mike pull up, he don't
That's
say
got
nothing
to do
yet.
about
The
dancing.
nigga don't have a microphone yet. He didn't make a sound, a noise, or nothing. He look at the bitch and they faint.
Yeah.
They back Mike out. Mike, like he was some form of weapon. They back Mike out and they died.
I don't mean to do that, but seriously, this is just like, this is what it said. This is what Liszt was. His fame even influenced the music industry at the time. Ticket sales skyrocketed, pianos flew out the door or window. I don't know how he transported pianos back in the day. The shit must have been a task. And he practically popularized solo recitals. Can you imagine back in the day in Germany, like you just go through rigorous musical training from age of 3. Your dad bought you a harpsichord or some shit, going through so many recitals, all types of money on like lessons and instruments, and you finally like struggle to get one act, one spot, and you finally get a spot, and then they say like, no, we just want to see how Liszt. I'd be kind of heated too. Liszt's fame marked the birth of modern celebrity culture, where artists began being idolized and worshipped like demigods at adoring fan levels. This levels of hysteria wasn't seen later until that fat peanut butter banana pito eating Elvis started impregnating the air. So when you see fans frothing at the mouth and those androgynous looking androids who look like they shot up some of that substance to look like a 12-year-old boys, think Liszt. So we got the aura, the swag, the fans, the mania, the craze. But was it all justified? Well, let's see. Why was Liszt so much more popular than the likes of Frederick Chopin, Robert Schumann, Richard Wagner, and Hector Berlioz, who were not only musical titans of their era in the Romantic period, but also rivaled and pushed boundaries as much, if not more, than Liszt? Well, what if I told you that Herr Liszt war ein industrial Bleistreiben? I'm sorry, I won't try to pronounce anything German again. That was some fucking like Rhineland bastard levels of pronunciation, dude. All right, no more pronunciation. And yes, Franz Liszt was an industry plant. His growth was pretty inorganic. To understand Liszt's ascent into stardom, we must first set the stage. 19th century Europe, a setting rife with transformation, a direct evolution from the period of enlightenment, where classical philosophies, political and military theory, music and art were in a constant state of evolution, as reflected by the myriad of significant events which marked the tumultuous era. Political and social currents created an environment eager for a hero artist. After the Napoleonic Wars, Europe's pent-up public was hungry for grand cultural experience. A growing middle class had time and money for concerts. Must have been nice. While aristocrats still patronized the arts to display their sophistication. This meant bigger audiences and bigger demand for sensational performers. In conjunction with the increased disposable income of the middle class to finally enjoy things other than, I don't know what they did back in the day. Probably just gooned all day, go for walks, dude. Freaking lame. Technological and artistic advancements also primed the landscape. By the 1930s and 40s, pianos had an expanded range with state-of-the-art 7-octave pianos hitting the scene. This was like the equivalent of the electrical guitar hitting the scenes in the 1930s. Like, this is like the Stratocaster of the time. Liszt was gifted one of these grand pianos as an endorsement deal at the age of 12. Imagine getting gifted an i8 at 12 years old. That's pretty much the equivalent of what Liszt received. Not only did little Franz receive more than generous state-of-the-art musical gifts, his education and musical career were also financed by a consortium of aristocrats by the age of 9, after he impressed the court of aristocrats in Hungary. Liszt was given even more pottery soil for his sprouting career when he literally had Beethoven's student Carl Czerny and Antonio Salieri. Yes, that Salieri. Beethoven actually kissed young Franz on the forehead as a sort of passing of the torch, a straw hat placed on the head as a sort of rite of passage. I don't know if that would pass too well these days. I think that would look a little sus, but hey, Beethoven's the GOAT. So hey, if he wants to Neverland Ranch a couple little German boys, hey, have at it, man. Have at it. Shoot, and it's Beethoven, like low key. I mean, to be honest, like if I were there, if I would Liszt, I wouldn't want it on the forehead. I would want it like on the. So let's see here. Gifted pianos that cost more than people's salary at the age of 12, check. Funded like he was a product on Shark Tank by musical venture capitalists, check. Literally getting mentorship from legends like Luffy's organic growth from his mentor from Shanks and Rayleigh. Like, come on, bro. Luffy's an industry plant. That's what I'm trying to say. What are we missing here? Oh yes, the most important ingredient, networking. Not the Facebook or LinkedIn SMA hustler kind of networking, but the tasteful kind. In his teens, when a blossoming Lys hit the streets of Paris, the center of the musical world, the Conservatoire National Supérieur de Musique et d'Art de Paris. French, you gotta reduce your words. It's too long. Famously rejected Lys's admission as a foreigner. This rejection didn't stop Le Petit Lys, as he had composers from the Parisian opera scene, Anton Reicha and Ferdinando Paer, plug him. They literally gave him an opera of his own at the age of 13 at the Carnegie Theater in 1825. It's like the equivalent of working with an established uncle in the industry and giving him a damn Coachella spot. Totally organic. This is without mentioning the entanglements with the high court Parisian countess and soirees at Ukrainian estates with a fucking princess, man. Listen, I'm not saying I'm jealous of Lys, but like, man, I wish I didn't piss on that Casio keyboard I was gifted for my birthday at 7 years old. Maybe I would have done something with my life. Finally, he was gifted an orchestra in an opera house at Lys's disposal to use as his artistic playground with no restrictions. All in all, from institutional backings from childhood, generous patrons and donors, sponsors, free marketing teams and networking, and even PR events which help bolster his fame like charity events. It's really hard to call Lys an organic artist in terms of growth given everything, and it's pretty obvious that people pushed him, at least backed him, aristocrats backed him, but it also doesn't take away that he was legit. He was perhaps the first person to really show these great feats of showmanship in solo recitals and be like his own solo pop star, while also being very technical and skilled playing these masterful and convoluted pieces that he composed. He also engaged with his audience like no other showman before him. He was like an overclocked Mozart, hitting signature moves with white gloves and hand gestures like ancient Mike. Actually, I think Mike might have gotten the white glove thing from Lys. It seems kind of coincidental that two of the biggest showmen of all time shared a white glove thing. Maybe it's like a theme, maybe they're germaphobes from all the, the grossness going on in those concerts. Even making the most conservative, prude, aristocratic woman turn into thought pocket, booty bouncing, bonnet bandits just shaking ass all over concert halls. So this brings us back to the question, industry plant? Perhaps. But one thing's for certain, that he was legit and he did revolutionize the music industry and different standards at the time. I mean, he revolutionized the way musicians spread PR, he revolutionized the way musicians performed, he revolutionized the solo recital. He honestly was perhaps the very first modern day pop star in terms of as a musician. Whether you like that or not, he has the credentials to back it up. And to that, I tip my severed max head to Herr Franz Liszt. Thank you so much for watching and staying to the end. Let me know what industry plants from the past that I might have missed, or maybe it doesn't have to be a musician. It could be a sculptor, a painter, a political figure, anyone who you think was pushed by the powers that be at the time period. I would like to hear your thoughts. I'm genuinely interested. Thank you guys so much again. And of course, Godspeed.